We're going to start with a big gala in Los Angeles that you were invited to, where the subject of the Beatles came up, James.
Yeah, it was the Los Angeles Jewish Film Festival, which is celebrated 20 years and had a terrific turnout at the very beautiful Saban Theatre. And the movie that they promoted was a film that I believe has come out in the UK, is coming out over here. It's called Midas Man. It was about Brian Epstein, the man who effectively guided the Beatles in a very short space of time from a working class band locally in Liverpool to, within 2 years, the biggest band in the world. And I was really lucky because there's a gentleman there called Martin Lewis. He's effectively, he knows everything about the Beatles. He's worked with many of the families and Paul and Ringo. And we spoke about Brian Epstein, who passed away in 1967. And I said to him, look, come on, we all wanted to know, had, the 70s happened and Brian been alive, do you think they would have reformed?
There were some tensions building within the Beatles. They'd been together since the nucleus of John, Paul and George had been together since 1957. So it was natural after 10 years, there was pressures, and they were very young when they got together. So it was natural that they might be having some tensions, like any family, you have little squabbles. Had Brian still been there, he'd have been a safety valve, I believe. The pressure would have been let out, they'd have taken a break, and then they'd come back together. That didn't happen. However, a blessing in disguise, because we never had the appalling concept of the Beatles going disco like the Stones. The Beatles quit right at the peak and left a perfect body of work.
Oh, yeah, some of which you could hear in the background there. That event sounded amazing. And that is such a really good point, isn't it, made by Martin Lewis there, James, which is that because it was such a short period, their work was so perfectly contained, and you always know the moment you hear a Beatles song that's a Beatles song. It is sort of a tantalising prospect, though, that George Martin carried on working for many, many years after, and what if they'd carried on well into the the 80s and 90s and beyond?
I like how cheeky Martin was when he said they didn't have the prospect of going disco like the Stones. Yeah. And he's worked with Keith, and I was like, that's a little. I thought "Miss You" was quite good.
Yeah.
Quite a hit.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I honestly think that if you get a chance to see the Epstein film, it is fascinating, and he was. I mean, everyone describes George Martin as the fifth Beatle, but Martin Lewis says Paul often said, no, it was Brian. Brian brought us together and changed everything. Very terrific. And it was a terrific event. And yes, the music was so loud. I'm sorry, that's the best audio I could get. They were blaring Beatles songs out, left, right and centre. So
great.
Sorry about the audio quality.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. I felt like we were there. I loved it.